Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday morning, January 27th. A major storm is still on the table for the northeastern part of the nation. That is the northeastern U.S., much of the mid-Atlantic region. It looks like from the late Friday into Saturday time period. This ocean storm will rapidly intensify in the time period from, let's say, midday on Friday into late Saturday. Certainly should qualify for what we call a bomb cyclone, which is a drop in the central pressure of 24 millibars in a 24-hour period. That certainly should be met with this particular storm system. Wanted to go through the Canadian model run from last night at 0Z. Again, I emphasize that I certainly favor the 0Z and the 12Z model runs as opposed to the 18Z and 6Z. The latest observations in the upper part of the atmosphere collected through the launch of radiosonde balloons are fed into these computer models for the 0Z and 12Z runs. The 6Z and 18Z runs have stale upper air observations, 6-hour-old upper air observations, and that can make all the difference in the world in a snowstorm for the northeastern part of the nation, where there's all kinds of processes involved. The Canadian model has been quite consistent. That's why I kind of favor using it here. The GFS model by NOAA has been kind of all over the place. I'm sticking with the Canadian model right now. First, I want to go through all kinds of maps here with this 0Z run of the Canadian model from last night. First of all, in terms of the vorticity maxima, these are areas of spin in the upper part of the atmosphere that meteorologists really track closely because they lead to upward motion. Upward motion is the key to generating clouds and ultimately precipitation, generating surface low pressure areas. Two features on the morning map here that are key players in this upcoming pattern. First of all, kind of a stretched out vortex right here way up in Canada, and this one now moving over the northern Rockies. We've talked about these particular waves of energy that will ultimately phase together, and the exact timing of that phasing together when that upper low feature swings from a neutral trough axis in its orientation to a negative trough axis. That timing of that phasing is critical in terms of snowfall amounts across the eastern mid-Atlantic region, the northeastern U.S. Exactly when that phasing takes place and where it takes place in the upper part of the atmosphere is crucial here. So these are the two waves, waves of interest, and watch what happens as we move through the next 24 to 36 hours or so. Here they are now starting to kind of coalesce together. This is the forecast map for early tomorrow afternoon, Friday afternoon, starting to phase together these two upper level disturbances. We go a little bit farther ahead, and here we go by early Saturday morning. You have a very healthy looking upper level feature here that's starting to go negatively tilted. By that I mean the orientation of the axis goes a little bit from the northwest to the southeast, and whenever this happens you have enhanced upward motion pretty much in this quadrant, the off to the east, off to the northeast of that upper level low, the axis of that upper level low. So there'll be a low pressure area right in this region experiencing enhanced upward motion, and that will contribute to a rapid intensification. That central pressure will drop quite an amazing amount, really, from midday Friday all the way into midday Saturday, late day on Saturday. So this is key ingredient number one. All these waves of energy consolidate into one very strong upper level system by the time we get to Saturday morning. Well, let's now take a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies. You can kind of get a flavor of that upper level low that does go negatively tilted here. The blues represent lower heights than normal, generally thought of as low pressure in the upper part of the atmosphere. Here we are by Friday night, and this is the time where the phasing together of those upper level disturbances starts to come together here right across the Tennessee Valley. By the time we get into Saturday morning, a very deep upper level low sitting right down here, way down in the southeastern part of the nation. Again, kind of a negatively tilted trough axis starting to form here. There'll be some tremendous upward motion right in this region right here. This is early Saturday morning. By the way, very cold air will follow this system all the way down into Florida. There's a possibility that Miami later this week or weekend will end up in the 30s. That I don't believe has happened in Miami since 2010, so quite a cold air mass floods the eastern third of the nation following this system, and it'll be quite cold during this system as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's go out a little farther in time, and here we go by Saturday afternoon or so, kind of a reflection of pretty much where that surface low will be at this particular time over the waters of the western Atlantic to the south of Long Island, pummeling northeastern part of the nation at this time. Perhaps still snowing in the mid-Atlantic regions, I-95 corridor region as well, midday on Saturday. Well, I talked in yesterday's video about other ingredients involved here. Jet streaks, multiple layers in the atmosphere are going to play a crucial role here. We'll have kind of what ends up as a kind of a double jet structure, and the interaction between the two also generates some enhanced upward motion. And in this particular case, this is a key ingredient to many northeastern snowstorms. In this particular case, it'll happen to that surface low pressure area, the enhanced upward motion right off the mid-Atlantic coastline south of Long Island by later Saturday. I'm looking here at the lower level jet streak, the 850 millibar, a couple thousand feet off the ground level. I just want to point out one important feature here that I think is worth noting. By the time we get into Friday night, you'll start to see that surface low pressure area off the southeastern coastline starting to intensify rapidly. Again, these are 850 millibar winds here. Now, by late Friday night, early Saturday morning, this is about 1 a.m. on Saturday. Just wanted to point out what this low-level jet, 850 millibar jet, will do. It will pump in a lot of moisture off the ocean into the mid-Atlantic region, specifically into inland areas where there will be a very cold and dry air mass. Look at this wind flow right here. When you have this kind of a wind flow in this part of the atmosphere, that could spell a lot of heavy snowfall inland in a very cold and dry air mass. You have a lot of moisture, of course, coming in off the ocean here with this 850 millibar wind pattern. When that upper level low is in this particular, lower level low at 850 millibars is in this particular position, you have these easterly winds aloft that can, again, in this particular case, bring in a lot of moisture. And we'll see in a moment here, there'll be a very cold and dry air mass sitting right in that part of the country. In other words, high snow ratios. That's the drier, fluffier kind of snow at inland locations. We're talking about, let's say, the suburbs of Philadelphia, certainly interior New Jersey, even down across Delmarva Peninsula, eastern Virginia, eastern Maryland. Very cold and dry air mass in place on Saturday. You get some of this moisture pushing in from the east to the west into that kind of an air mass. You have high snow ratios. That kind of snowfall tends to accumulate quicker than a heavier wet snow. So again, just want to point out, we indeed have low-level jet, we have upper-level jet streaks, all playing a role as they typically do with big northeastern snowstorms. And one of the things this low-level jet will do is create an influx of moisture back into a cold and dry air mass. Well, I don't typically show this kind of a map, but I want to show this here. This is the precipitable water anomalies. Gives you a good handle on where the moist air is more moist than normal and where the dry air is drier than normal. As we begin the day here on Thursday, quite a dry Arctic air mass in place in the northeastern part of the nation. Again, I mentioned this yesterday, a lot of areas starting off near 10 degrees in the I-95 corridor region between D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Very cold, dry air in place right now. But watch what happens as we move into the late weekend system. Here we go by Friday afternoon. A lot of moistening up here across the southeastern coastline, just off the southeastern coastline, as the first reflection of that surface low shows up on the weather maps by midday on Friday. This is when the phasing begins in the upper part of the atmosphere. But notice as we go through the day on Friday and into of Friday evening. Here we are intensifying. Surface low pressure here. Notice a millibar drop significant between Friday morning and late Friday. This is again the 1 a.m. Saturday morning time period. Moist air is represented by the green here, and look at all this dry air here. This is below normal anomalies in terms of precipitable water. In other words, very dry air here. Let's go out a little bit longer in time here. And here we go by Saturday morning. Again, we're going to have, at some levels of the atmosphere, moisture pumped in to the inland locations across, let's say, interior New Jersey and the suburbs of Philadelphia, east central Pennsylvania, even down across the Delmarva. This is a very cold and dry air mass right in this region right here. You push in a lot of moisture off the ocean, and that spells some potential dry, fluffy snow, and also the potential for some heavy snow here. This is quite a combination, and one of the ways we produce big-time snows in the northeastern part of the nation. Well, let's quickly look at the surface temperature anomalies, actually the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. And again, I want to emphasize the cold air coming in just in time for this storm here. We are all the way by 1 a.m. Saturday morning. Look at this cold air mass. Again, I mentioned cold air could pour all the way down into southern Florida at the end of the week into the weekend. Perhaps temperatures in the 30s in Miami this weekend. Hasn't happened there, I believe, since 2010. Very cold and dry Arctic air in place here by late Friday night going into Saturday morning. You push in a lot of moisture off the ocean, and that spells trouble for some of these inland locations with high snow ratios. Let's go out even farther in time. Saturday, very cold air mass pouring in on the backside of the storm down in the southeastern part of the nation, way, way below normal for this time of the year. And again, that will result in news-making kind of cold all the way down into Florida. Perhaps I have to worry about orange freeze up down in the central part of Florida. And again, temperatures could drop into the 30s in Miami during the upcoming weekend. Well, let's now go through the surface forecast maps. Again, I think this particular model has had a pretty good handle on the overall situation. Let's move forward here. Sunny, cold today in the northeastern part of the nation, becoming cloudy on Friday. Here we are Friday morning. Here's the first reflection of that surface low pressure system by early tomorrow. 1014 millibars. Remember that. Early Friday morning, 1014 millibars. Snow starts to break out during the day on Friday across the mid-Atlantic region. Intensification already starting to get underway here now, down to a 1011 millibar low, and then continues to intensify. Snow really kind of solidifies here over the mid-Atlantic region by early tomorrow night. This is the 7 p.m. Friday evening forecast map. Again, snow and breaking out, steadier snow all the way back into D.C., by the way, in western part of Virginia, West Virginia, across southeastern Pennsylvania. Here is the ocean storm of interest. Rapid intensification at this particular time, dropping, easily reaching the bomb cyclone classification with a 24 millibar drop in a 24-hour period. Snow, again, an influx of moisture into that cold, dry air mass will result in accumulating snow, certainly throughout the Delmarva Peninsula and New Jersey, all the way back into southeastern Pennsylvania, and even back into the D.C. metro region. Expect some accumulating snow out of this particular system. And the northeastern part of the nation really gets pummeled here. A still deepening low at this particular time, Saturday morning. Look at this isobar pattern here. I want to just point out another key ingredient I always like to look for: high pressure to the north. 1037 millibar high right here. And the combination of this very strong high to the north, a key positioning of that high, because that helps to lock in that cold air into the I-95 corridor region, and a very deep low here at this particular time. And these black lines represent lines of equal pressure, isobars. The tighter those lines, the stronger the winds. Powerful winds across New England all the way back into the mid-Atlantic region, developing by Saturday morning with this unbelievable pressure gradient that will set up as that ocean storm. The bottom just falls out of its central pressure here. Let's now move forward another 6 hours or so. Here we are by midday on Saturday. what are we looking at? 973 millibar low. It started off as a 1014 right in this region right here. Still snowing, by the way. Midday Saturday, all the way back down to southeastern Pennsylvania, the Delmarva Peninsula, DC metro region. And then we go forward out in time, still deepening low, all the way up into the eastern New England coastline here by Saturday evening, an all-out blizzard for that part of the nation. Again, there'll be a significant impact all the way back into the mid-Atlantic region as well. Then we go into Saturday night and finally by Sunday morning. And again, keep in mind that cold air mass floods all the way down into southern Florida and even beyond there, by the way. News-making cold for the state of Florida, and it'll be very, very cold on the heels of this storm in the I-95 corridor region by late Saturday night, Sunday morning, certainly back down to near 10 degrees in many spots, maybe even lower than that on the heels of the storm, with what will be a new fresh snow cover in many locations. So that's the latest. Stay tuned to arcfieldweather.com for an update later on today and certainly over the next couple of days for additional updates. That's it for now. I'm meteorologist Paul.